the things that piss me off the most, I can't even begin to explain to you how much spam I get. And it's not even good quality spam. So it's like, because these tools are so commoditized, because of the data is so commoditized at this point in time, I block it immediately.
Spencer, thanks for joining Good and the Crack Academy. Tell us a little bit more about yourself. What are you building at Growth Alliance?
Okay, so top down, high level view of who I am, what I do. My name is Spencer Tahoe. I'm the owner and founder of Growth Alliance. It's a pretty new consultancy. Right now, we're focusing on building anywhere from Series A, Series B startups, as well as $5 million to $50 million SaaS products and marketing agencies. So, on the back end, I come from a HubSpot and engineering background. So, my mind has always gone towards mathematical problems and solutions and setting this. Moving into kind of like the growth division, I started as a growth hacker using HubSpot, Zapier, and so on and so forth. And over time, that has become what I do for work right now. In Growth Alliance, what we're usually doing is connecting kind of like people data, a lot of people data, and a lot of back-end revenue data. So my job is to bridge the gap between marketing, sales, and revenue. And how I do that is through technology and a lot of kind of like AI agents too.
Starting new year here, 2026, what's the state of Outbound in a few bullet points for you?
So realistically, everybody's going to cry wolf. That outbound is dead, ads are dead, organic is dead. All this, At the end of the day, none of them are wrong, none of them are right. It's just a matter of they're using the wrong tool to do the same thing over and over again, and they're not keeping up. In my opinion, the current state of outbound 2025 to 2026, it has evolved from linear based workflows, from like A, B, C, test this, to something that is more agentic, and you can also experiment with a larger variety of tools. So like, I know we work together, Olivier, with the Swarm, and then we also do some other things for other people using Swarm data for go-to-network, right? And I think as we go into the future, it's all going to be about context engineering. It's not going to be more about like data engineering, or it's not going to be about people data as much. It's going to be about taking the contextual information that a lot of, at least for outbound or even in sales, that a lot of senior AEs or a lot of senior SDRs or BDRs, they're doing inside of their head with their brain. Once that information gets out of their brain, if we can systemize that process, that's where 2026 is heading to. We're getting more capabilities on the floor, and if you're just spraying and praying, that's not, I mean, yes, it's outbound marketing, but I don't think that the current state of outbound has a really good look or feel to anybody that's not in the sales position right now. I think they all think that all we do is send emails and do cold calls and stuff, and that's really not the case, and it's not going to be the case. So current state, people are using the wrong tools, but I think future state, that once people understand it's all about context and chaining context and people data together, this will unlock even greater gains, like interconnectivity, interconnected data, interconnected networks, all of that fancy word just to say like it's in an okay spot. But I think if all you're doing is sending emails, then you're still 10 years behind at this point in time.
Interesting what you said about context engineering. Never heard that term before. Is this something you're claiming?
No, 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 I don't claim this. I actually give credit to the LinkedIn monster known as Jacob Deedle or Deidel. So he's one of my muses. So is like Jordan Crawford and all those people. Follow them pretty tightly. What I love doing is doing some prompt engineering, and the best way to do it right now in this book of business is to tie that into making more business. So I always tell people it's like a machine's context window, or like GPT, is like human attention.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so let's talk about how you approach this, because obviously I've worked with you for the last few months and been in touch before that, obviously, but I've seen how you maybe send smaller volume of emails and really work on precision and identifying the right targets based on that context and using the right data and tools. So can you speak about your process a little bit, high level, how you go about like working with customers, but also like yeah, making sure you've got the right like targets in the outbound campaigns and not like that very very broad like spray and pray approach.
Yeah, so I mean, I mean, like it's very recent, it's very relevant, but you know, like there are people that their industries unfortunately just don't react on the right channel to like traditional outbound, right? Which is like it could even be for cold calling. Let's just take email marketing for an example of what everybody thinks that we do, right? If you're just sending emails, you better make sure that list is really perfect. And now we're going up against Google, we're going up against Microsoft, and all of these like deliverability issues, right? It's not really a channel that you own, right? You can influence it, but the data has to be sourced from somewhere. You can get some people, you know, to scrape you some data lists. You can go on Apollo, you know, you can go on ICPs, you can go on all of these different tool stacks and grab whatever data you want. But just because you have a quantity of that data doesn't mean that it's all good quality. As far as being precise in targeting, it all comes down to looking at, hey, what type of person are they? Are they posting? You know, there's so much data out there. Contextually, how do we talk to this person? And I think this is where it comes back to context engineering. It's like if they're a VP and they're like, you know, their profile picture, they've got white hair, maybe you should probably say, you know, be a little bit more formal, right? But there are some other people that just don't care. And I think like that's a cultural difference. So understanding where they are in the world, how to approach somebody that's French versus American, these could all influence the way that you contextually approach somebody. And crafting that message takes a lot of skill, but you can speed it up with like LLMs now.
Can you speak to that a little bit? Like, obviously, like that seems like a very good use case for like AI to be able to like take that unstructured data or unstructured data and take that context and just like maybe like craft the right message to the right person. But it's also a bit of a black box, isn't it? Like so have you yeah used like AI in that matter to really hyper personalize those messages, or approach like strategy, and where do you see it like fit in?
Yeah, so I think, you know, artificial intelligence. Go ahead. I know that you have
You have
something
an
else to say.
example? If you have an example you've seen like you've seen work, that's always helpful.
Yeah, what I have seen work is whatever segment you think, or like whatever segment or persona you think that you have, try to split it up again. So everybody thinks that they go after sales professionals in North America. Okay, what exactly? Like you need to think very critically, because people my age versus somebody that's my parents' age might react completely differently depending on their geo or, you know, cultural backgrounds, right? And I think being able to have artificial intelligence do the work that 10 of you can work on, like, hey, go look at this context plan, go look that they posted on LinkedIn, look at the tone of voice. You know, if you're going to be really personal or you're going to do deep research on somebody, maybe they were a sponsor of like a football league, or they were a sponsor of this, right? This is how the higher up account executives work on the sales side. So not just talking about you're not just talking about outbound right now, but we're talking about sales. Account executives will do days and days and months of research to understand that Mark Cuban bought a football team or bought, you know, whatever, right? And then they're going to send them gifts. What if that gift is the wrong gift? You know, it's making people feel like they matter, which again, like you're buying merit. With artificial intelligence, what actually ends up happening on the inverse of what you're looking for right now, you're looking for successes. What I've seen is it's easier to look at the inverse of it, of what hasn't worked. And what hasn't worked is people are faking authenticity using artificial intelligence, and they're not doing anything that's relational. So, you know, like, hey, Olivier, I saw that you're COO, you're CGO at the Swarm, right? Great, that's like
Yeah,
public information, but it's not very personal, right?
right.
And then there's the complete radicalized version of that is, hey, Olivier, saw that you're in this area in California. Hey, have you gone to this bagel shop? That's just like, in my opinion, that's creepy. So, and I think this like walking this line is like very difficult sometimes. And I think it comes down to relevance rather than personalization, and the context that you're processing with artificial intelligence. You can do 10 times more of it now that you have artificial intelligence.
Mm.
to be able to make it more relevant.
I love it. I love it. I mean, it seems like it's going back to like strategy and then like setting up like the rules up front. Because in the example of the bagel place, pretty awesome but extremely creepy too. So that's very personal, but like that just like is not gonna land depending on like who you're talking to, of course. But that's a good example. So a lot of work up front, right? And it seems like a lot of the data is so commoditized and the tools are so accessible that it's so easy to hit go on those like campaigns without doing all of the work up front. So nice to hear you think so deeply on those themes, and I see it firsthand, of course, with the swarm, with the work we do for the swarm. Um, let's jump into maybe examples of recent campaigns. I'm always trying to bring it back to like tell us a story, like tell us a success story or like a nightmare story that you've seen like for your customers, or that you've seen online that's like telling for the state of outbound.
So I would say the things that piss me off the most, and this is not just my opinion. I've talked to other people about this. You could take my word with a grain of salt, though. Uh,
Mhm.
Realistically, there's not really any like bad stories per se, but when I changed my job title on LinkedIn to founder or CGO or CMO or something like this, I can't even begin to explain to you how much spam I get. And it's not even good quality spam. So it's like, because these tools are so commoditized, because of the data is so commoditized at this point in time, I block it immediately, because I know it's not coming from somebody I trust. It's not coming from somebody that's relevant. It's not, maybe it is relevant, but like rarely do I see something and I'm like, yeah, that's like so good, I gotta click on that. Right? I'm pretty problem aware of what my problems are, and if I'm not aware of them, then that's my fault in general. Nobody likes to be told what they're missing out on. Nobody likes to be told that they're doing something wrong, and I think the bell rings the same way for a lot of executives in seat. For me, this is just like low quality crap. If you're gonna do something, do it right. That's what my father told me many years ago. So I'd rather spend a month or two building something awesome, low volume, super precise, get it so you never have to do it again, rather than just like blasting. And it's just a personal belief of mine. I don't know if that it really like dives into like a story though.
Yeah, that no, there's stories in there. That's great. At the same time, like seeing like I don't know if you see the California drop like initiative that makes it very easy now for California residents to like opt out of no like emails and their phone numbers to be like blocked out, and that basically like sends notifications to all the registered data brokers to remove them. And so um, it's yeah, this like spam mentality and spam cannons mentality is making it like hard for everyone. And as a result, like I think people like tune out, and then like essentially governments and so on make it easier for people to take steps to like protect themselves, which makes relationships and puts a premium on relationships like even more. But yeah, it's interesting. We'll see like where that goes. I do believe in like low volume and like mindful, and we see the results. People can feel it if it's like if it's been like sort of researched and if it's relevant to them, and that shows in the response rates and the hit rates. So um,
My question to myself all the time when I'm evolving kind of like my offering too, and what I present to other people is, what if every single data point on every single person that you wanted to talk to was free? What would you do? How would you approach it? Would you approach it differently than you are now? Okay, so if the answer to that is yes, that you would approach it differently, why are you not doing it now? Why are you not paying for it? Is it not worth the ROI? If all the data is free and you wouldn't change a thing, then why do you believe in your mission so much? Why do why are you doing what you're doing? Can you improve it? And I think in the back of my head, that's where it's going to go. Everybody's going to have access to the same data, but how do you stand out in that? It's you do handshakes. In my opinion, it comes down to handshakes. It always has been. If you want to close that enterprise deal, you go and fly to Paris and you do it, right? You want to make an impression, you have networking calls with them every week or every month or something, right? And relationships will always be part of human culture. That is just this. We're
Let's
social
dive,
animals.
let's dive into that. How would you then use relationships in those campaigns? I mean, like we are system designers, system thinkers, right? It's like, how can we take what's working at a small scale and is opportunistic and manual and make it like, more repeatable, right? So we're talking about like putting then some like warm intros or like, mention of relationships in campaigns. Like, how do you think that sort of fits within an outbound strategy?
It's I would have to say it's as simple as saying like, hey, this person, can you intro me? To, hey, we just mapped your total target account. We know that you're working with Salesforce. Based on your website and your case study, we know that you're working with Salesforce. Um, just curious if looking at people at HubSpot or Adio or any of these smaller CRMs would be interesting for you. We've got some data points on Austin Rise or somebody at Adio that you guys can go and talk to. Here's their email just in case it's relevant. And giving that much value up front to somebody, they're going to be like, wow, your data is pretty good, right? And I think that's how you could use your data as leverage. Like even with the swarm, like we've experimented with some things, right? It's like giving all that data and that value up front is crazy. How to use data and outbound is completely contextual, right? Again, like what does it come down to? I don't think that sending the same message to you, Olivier, and to David at the same exact time is going to resonate very well. Like there should be some sort of authority control built into who's making what decision. Like if I'm going to sell a marketing product, I'm probably going to come talk to you rather than David. Or if I'm going to sell something more technical, I might go to somebody that's more technical and explain it in their lingo, right? It's all about knowing your audience and how your message resonates. If people data and relationship data is relevant to that person, yeah, go ahead, do it and give them the value up front, in my opinion.
How would you explain the value of relationship based outbound to a skeptical client?
I think so. How I would explain relationship outbound, it's not one to one anymore. It's not transactional. It doesn't have to feel transactional. If your service and your channel is just gonna be outbound, think about it like this. You've got three data points. You've got your target, and something in between, right? Most of the time, direct outbound or direct services try to close the gap in a straight linear line. Wouldn't it be great if you could add a third data point, which actually has a personal relationship with the person that you want to talk to already? Because data shows that 70-80% of B2B businesses are closed via referral. If you guys have ever gotten a referral, whoever's like, in any business, hey, I know a friend, I got a plumber that they just fixed my toilet. Oh, I need a plumber. It's as simple as that. So I think like this is how I have explained it to people is it's not just about you talking to the person and hoping that they pick up the phone. It's you calling and texting the person that has a relationship with that person and just saying, hey, by the way, if you happen to know anybody that needs something like this, of course you already do, give me a shout, right? Really great for commission models, stuff like this. Um, but it also works very well in piercing organizations. So I think when we have an organizational map, you've all seen those fancy trees. How I explain it to people is you're not just going to go and talk to one person. you're going to figure out who talks to everybody in that whole organization. And then individually, you're going to figure out who knows who from your team to their team so that you can figure out the path of least resistance. Maybe it's easier to go through a director rather than just go up to the VP. So trying to figure out the path of least resistance is something that relationship data can help you with.